Welcome to Uplistikhe, ancient 4,000-year-old citadel carved into stone by my ancient ancestors. Uplistikhe being Lord's fortress. It's said to be built by grandson of Kartlos, great-grandchild of Noah, and is one of the oldest still existing settlements. Kura Raksa civilization, pre-Bronze Age, and this is early Bronze Age, 2000 years BC, and it stopped being in use in the late Middle Ages. After Georgia unified and then later collapsed, it lost its geopolitical influence, but humans from prehistory to recorded history used to come around here, trade goods, and worship the local gods. Thought to be one of the main gods worshipped here. Sun goddess Nana, same god probably worshipped by Sumerians or Babylonians, Inanna or Ishtar, and probably many other gods and goddesses from the ancient world. Here, worlds of Black Sea, Caspian Sea, and the Fertile Crescent used to unite. This is one of the most interesting and underlooked sites in history. No one dare say that Georgians aren't dwarves of the real world. We carved ancient citadels from stone and connected West and East, Europe and Asia from even before the Bronze Age. In this video, I would like to share with you my journey to the beautiful and ancient stone-carved citadel of Uplistikhe, site set in mystery, history and mythology. Who built it? Were they dwarves, or were they the evil underground mages known as Kaji? Let's find out together.
We dwarves are natural sprinters.
First, how did I end up here? Local museum invited my friend David Nasaridze's private military museum, and I tagged along as unfortunately I haven't been here before. I've been to many other stone-carved citadels like Vardzia, but not this one. With us was local tour guide Georgi Kobakhidze, who helped me uncover the mysteries of the ancient cave city. Also helped me film some stuff, so shout out to them both. Back to it then. This is one of the oldest historical sites in the region and holds great importance to the ancient world. Signs of civilized settlement go back as far as 3500 BC. Date of construction of the monument itself is argued, as it was constantly worked on until the Middle Ages. But it is believed that construction of the monument started around 2400s-ish. You can see the different ages in the stonework. The carved rock construction style, this is all once covered and more complex, but 4,000 years of erosion exposed and changed the layout. We see large stone slabs stacked without any binding agent, which is the characteristic of monolithic or cyclopean style of construction. There are tons of cyclopean citadels and monoliths all over Georgia that we will visit as well.
აი აქ შემოდიოდა პირველი მზის სხივები და თავარი ქურუმი იწყებდა ლოცვებს და იღვიძებდა ქალაქს.
This is common to Neolithic and Bronze Age world. We see smaller stones with mortar, that is your typical medieval masonry right there. You can see the more modern Christian church built quite recently in 9th or 10th century. Comparatively modern, of course. It is said to be built by later stages of local Neolithic and Bronze Age culture, now called Kura Araxes, which existed from 4th to 2nd millennium BC. Its core was situated between two rivers, Kura or Mtkwari, and Araxes in the south, around the Caucasian mountains, mostly in the south, but partly in the north as well. It was continuation of early agrarian culture known as Shulaveri Shomu. Due to Bronze Age technology and greater developments in agrarian and pastoral farming, helped populations rise and grow beyond Kura-Araxes river basin. It expanded its cultural reach down to modern-day Israel, Syria, Iraq, and Iran, neighboring many ancient cultures that laid the foundations of many modern civilizations. To the northwest, Maikop, that influenced the Proto-Indo-Europeans. To the west, Anatolian farmers. To the south, it was part of fertile crescent civilizations, and its culture even reached the Indus Valley. Citadel that I am exploring might have been one of its main merchant hubs. Here, caravans from the northern steppes met sailors from the western shores and traveled down to connect with the great southern civilizations. This was both a trading hub for the ancients and a holy pilgrimage site, as the local priests worshipped familiar yet strange god Nana, or the Great Mother.
მზე ცეცხლი ეს ასე რომ ვთქვით მზეთია იგივეა როგორც ხედავ გამომწვარი ქვა აქ ყოველთვის ერთო ცეცხლი.
There are many similar fertility goddesses in ancient world, such as Anahita, Indo-Iranian goddess of primordial water and fertility, and Inanna or Ishtar, Sumerian goddess of love and war. She is that one that got rejected by Gilgamesh, and her fury sent heavenly bull after the old king of Uruk and his best bro Enkidu. We can make many parallels, other female goddesses of fertility and harvest, but let's stick to the Near East. Uruk and Kura-Araxes cultures were contemporary to each other and engaged in trade relations. Most likely they shared cultural elements as well. Here, Great Mother Nana is engraved deep into the rocks of Caucasus, in our linguistic and cultural elements. Here we find her clay statue with obsidian eyes. Her sacrifices include many figures of bulls and some household objects. It is difficult to get a clear picture of what ancient faith looked like, especially in Georgia, as it became Christian early on and tried to purge its pagan past, but nations' unconscious holds the deep veneration to the Divine Mother. Even after Christianization, some scholars believe that many aspects that Divine Mother held in our culture, Mary, Mother of God, of Jesus Christ, took on herself. We venerate her and consider ourselves under her patronage. That itself is a huge topic for later on. To this day, every Georgian mother sings Nana as a lullaby. Every region has its own unique version. It's a prayer to the cosmic maternal for the protection of the young. In the lullaby, Nana is compared to flowers of violet and rose. She is associated with maternal protection and flowers. We also see that in her children, the Batonebi, or the little lords, are spirits that bring disease to the children, like chickenpox and other deadly ailments. They are referred to as flowers because of their red dots. Mothers pray to Nana and try to please the little lords so they don't take their children. There are many names to refer to Nana, and many female names in Georgian derive from her. Nana, of course, Nunu, Nene, Nino, Nona, Nano, Nini, and many others. The role of the Great Mother plays a huge role in Caucasian and especially Georgian consciousness, especially in mythology. And of course it deserves a special video on its own. Here I'll try to focus on Nana herself. Caucasus is made up of agrarian and mountain pastoralist cultures, down to genetics, where lowlander farmer communities have higher Anatolian farmer DNA and high mountain has more Caucasian hunter-gatherer DNA. In Kura-Araxes it was mix of both, just like it is now in modern Caucasian peoples. The divide is shown best in our local faiths. Agrarians worship the Divine Mother, Nana, who was thought to be the goddess of fertility, harvest, and the sun. In the West, we have a different goddess, Barbale, represented by the sun disco. We see this in Greek myths about cultures, where Colchian royal family King Aeetes and his sisters Kirke or Circe and Pasiphae are said to be children of Helios, the sun titan, making Medea his granddaughter. Where Hellenic Greeks were Indo-Europeans, their sun god was male, but Colchis was of an older Neolithic farmer civilization that venerated maternal power and had female sun priestesses. That's who Medea and her aunts Kirke and Pasiphae were, not witches or sorcerers, but medicine women and priests of the sun. We find many sun discos buried with the priestesses in Vani and other burial sites. I'll of course make a dedicated video on comparing Greek and Caucasian mythologies in the future, where I delve much deeper. For now, I just wanted to show how great of a role female sun priests played in our culture. That's why shepherds of the society were patriarchal and Sky Father became the dominant god. While lowland agrarians were matriarchal, at least in the priestly class, highlands are to this day very patriarchal. In some mountain myths, feminine is considered the source of all evil. In few versions, Morige, the Sky Father figure, is the sole creator of the world. In others, he and his sister create the world, but they end up in a fight and the woman ends up in the underworld and creates all evil races that hurt humanity. In Babylonian myths, Inanna has a husband, Dumizd, the shepherd god. Long story short, one day Inanna ends up in the underworld. She manages to get out of the underworld and chooses Dumizd, her husband, as her replacement because she considers that he didn't mourn her properly. It is a troubled marriage, to say the least. The connection might be a stretch here, but I thought to include it. Fertility goddess with a shepherd husband. There is another parallel I could make with local Georgian fairy tale about a mythical mother of all witches, Rokapi, who is an evil hag that Morige chained into the underworld on a pole that is very similar to what happened to Amirani. Again, I said it many times before, topic for another video.
Harry hey, beautiful! Harry hey!
We see further amnesty in how all the enemy magic races like Giant Devi and the Kaji often have matriarchs in charge. I talk about this in my Devi video, but there are magic fairy-like races that are all women like wild woodland woman Dali or Tashmapa that translates to forest lords, who are all ethereal, blonde, beautiful forest nymphs that seduce hunters. There are many similar figures in all of European mythologies, and is the origin to our modern idea of elves and fairies. Also, another group of female magical beings called the Dobilni, or the sisters, who are female spirits that bring disease to women and children. Like the little lords, they are considered children of Nana. But in this video, I'd like to focus on Kaji, who are a race of long-lived mages, very much like elves of fantasy. I found three distinct types of Kaji: air, water, and earth. Air and water seem relatively chill, if not antagonized, but earth Kaji is what I want to focus on here. They are a race of beautiful but evil underworld-dwelling, long-lived magicians that make living weapons and armor, spin magic cloth from spider silk. They also are slavers who kidnap surface dwellers. Yeah, they're basically very much like Drow from modern fantasy pop culture. Only difference is that they have twisted ankles. Other than that, some are maybe described with bat wings, some are maybe described with horns, and some maybe melt in the sun. Rest is very similar to the Dark Elves. Why this huge diatribe on magic races in a video about cave citadels and ancient cults? Well, there is a local legend about how the city was built. Like many other great works of architecture and human achievement, it's slavery.
აქ ცხოვრობდნენ ქურუმები და ქურუმებთან ერთად ცხოვრობდნენ მონები, მაგრამ მონებს სხვა მონებისგან განსხვავებით საქართველოში ჰქონდათ თავისუფლების მოპოვების საშუალება.
The story goes that priests kidnapped people and forced them to carve the stone city, but the pickaxe had a golden nugget on the other side. When they wore out their pickaxes, they could use the gold to buy their freedom. The ruins next to the citadel are thought to be their settlement. This is very similar to how Kajeti or Kaji city is described in myths, and some scholars consider Uplistikhe the inspiration for famous Georgian epic poem Vepchistraosani or Night in the Panther's Skin, where Kaji kidnap a princess and hold her hostage. I've said it many times, but this is a huge topic for another video. But in short, some considered Kaji, the underworld city dwelling mages, to actually be mythologized interpretation of Uplistikhe residents, who were powerful and secretive magicians who kidnapped nearby mountain folk for slave labor. And in turn, mountain folk who were shepherds and worshipped a patriarchal god considered matriarchal agrarians as evil wizards. I personally prefer to believe that there is a whole realm underneath the earth filled with beautiful magic women, and mountain heroes like me have to regularly raid into the underworld to get their magic jewels and steal their beautiful women, for moral and justifiable reasons, of course. A lot of East Mountain myths are either about some human being kidnapped by Kaji and having to escape their dungeons, or heavenly heroes that regularly have to go down into the underworld to get powerful loot, as the Kaji are considered one of the best blacksmiths who make living chainmail armor and cursed magic items that can turn on you at any moment. Oddly, they can also aid heroes, give them magic items, or give humans prophetic visions. There are canonically good Kaji, like the brides taken on one of the raids into the underworld. Also, the water Kaji, who said to live next to rivers and aid humans. That's what I think Uplistikhe must have been, as I don't want to portray this as a negative place. They especially aid humans with special magic mark. Some humans or animals are born with magic symbols on their bodies, either on their chest or on their shoulder blades or somewhere else. That means they are blessed by God or gods and carry unique magic powers. That energy can be extracted and turned into magic wishing pearls. Again, a huge topic for another video. I really enjoyed the visit at this amazing historical site. At the end of a long day of dwarfing out, we enjoyed a beautiful sunset with torch lighting ceremony, and the beautiful day came to a close. At the end, I want to thank all my beautiful sponsors that help me explore these ancient dungeons. So if you want to help me out explore more crazy sides of this world, please consider joining the Warriors of Light. Thank you and take care.